Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today I have Maddox Daniels. Is that your last name?
Yeah,
And I found you through Instagram. That's kind of a classic theme. Instagram is
yeah,
such an interesting networking tool, but I actually saw some of your clips that you were doing talking about experience, talking about breath, talking about God, all kinds of things. And I heard you were also talking with Jarrett, and it says you're really interested in philosophy and health. And I just really want to pick your
yeah,
brain. And so, Maddox, what inspired you to start thinking about health or philosophy or just betterment of the self?
of course. Thanks for reaching out and wanting to have this conversation first off. Um, but yeah, for me, it kind of just developed organically as I left home and went to school. I was a freshman in college, and my identity was super tied to who I was as a basketball player. I played basketball, went to 4 different high schools, started in Atlanta, then I was in Jersey City, New Jersey. Then I was in Montverde, Florida, which is close to Orlando. Then I was in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles for my senior year. Then I was in Sarasota, Florida for prep school. And then finally started college in Fort Myers. And I was there for 2 years. And then I was in Boulder, Colorado for 2 years. And then now I'm in Florida. So um, yeah, it was just my identity was really tied to who I was as a basketball player. If I played bad, then I would feel bad about myself, and I was like, this isn't matching up right. I don't think that that's how life should be. I feel like I'm more than just this label that I wear as a basketball player, um, and that's when I started diving into a lot of different things, getting into there's a lot of words for it, self development, self exploration, stuff like that, but yeah, just started reading a little bit more, focusing on my health a little bit more, more conscious of what I was putting in my body. Yeah, everyone's process is different, but just the process of coming back into a connection with myself and realizing that divine discontent that I felt, my bad, being, depressed when I played bad and stuff like that was just an invitation for me to know myself more. So that's what I would say. Probably start with the basketball identity thing.
Sure. Was there a specific book, a specific protocol that kind of opened your eyes to this type of mindset?
Yeah. Um, no, I wouldn't say there was a specific book or protocol. I would say I gravitated towards yogic philosophy. So you could, say that yogic philosophy, meditation, that type of stuff. People like Muji, who's out of Portugal, he's Jamaican, he's out of Portugal. Somebody that I started watching pretty early on in my journey. And then there's other people online. I mean, even getting into just more simple surface level spiritual teachers like Deepak Chopra or, different books and things here and there. Books by Robin Sharma, Tony Robbins, really getting into, my sophomore year, started getting into more of the health optimization stuff. So Ben Greenfield and people like that, where I just was looking to learn more. Was really curious about myself, about life, looking to learn more. So it's kind of just what I intuitively gravitated towards and felt in the moment. And yeah,
Yeah, that's very interesting. What were you studying, by the way? You say you went to college. Did you finish college? Did you drop out? What did you study?
yeah, I studied marketing. I just was going to college in my junior college. It's a great school, Florida Southwestern State. It's a good junior college for basketball. And it has a good also like college too. But I was more focused on basketball. Like my grades were solid. Like okay, I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z in the classroom. I was just gonna make sure I handle my business. And yeah, so I did that. Just studied business there. Then went to Colorado. Was in the business school because I had solid grades in junior college, and then graduated with a marketing degree. So marketing
Nice.
marketing's what I do now. It's what I love. I love content creation. I've been moving more into that space lately. After leaving basketball, there's kind of so many things moving around in my life, moving parts. What do I want to do? Get into health coaching and this and that. And then I realized like I got stuff I need to learn myself when it comes to the health coaching. And so now I've just been kind of sharing my own journey with that, and then really getting into compartmentalizing my life on social media and then also like my business life. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
What health So you say you're very interested in health, and you're drinking water with magnesium something in it, and you have a red light in your room. Walk me through a day of Maddox. What health protocols do you do, and what have you found the most useful?
Well, it's just as far as health protocols or going through a day, it's really just about what has become part of my lifestyle. And then I'll research and do things throughout my day, be on social media, listen to a podcast, read a book. And if something resonates, then I'll try and start experimenting with it, do it for a week, 2 weeks, 30 days. And then like if I'm really resonate with it, feel good with it, then I'll just add it into my lifestyle. But these glasses I'm wearing, they're raw optics light therapy lenses. So they're a little bit different than like blue light blockers because the technology that the founder, Matt Maruka, created, he's a genius out of San Diego, Encinitas, and that's where raw optic glasses come from. But, it's basically helping your eyes not get stressed out by blue light. So on these phones, and devices and artificial lights in most houses, most bulbs have this thing called imperceptible flicker. So we can't really perceive a subtle flicker that's going on in most light bulbs. So that is creating something that we can't perceive with our eyes, but it's confusing our, pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, like our endocrine system glands that govern circadian rhythm, biology, hormone production, melatonin production, serotonin. So these glasses kind of help to, mitigate those effects, you could say, and keep things in a more natural state because we have an internal clock. It's really in our brain. So it's the circadian rhythm. Circa is like an estimate, like circa is kind of a estimate or approximate. That's what circa means. And then dian is day. So the circadian rhythm in our mind or in our brain is this internal clock that we have that basically is trying to sync us into or like help us, our bodies figure out like when we are in the day. So that's why it's important. You want to ask me like what my day looks like, kind of taking me a while to get there, but I wake up, I get outside, walk outside, and I drink from this. So I drink glass, spring water or filtered water. Sometimes I'll do tea. Shilajit is great. Shilajit is a mineral resin that has been used for thousands and thousands of years. It's an Ayurvedic type of supplement. And then I'll do that and I'll move. Then I'll kind of get creative, take a cold shower, get in some cold water if I can, and then get creative with my work. I like to get work done to start the day, and then I'll flow from there. Maybe get a workout in. Depends on if I have a client, if I have work. That kind of just depends. And then I like to eat like a big meal at the start of the day, kind of chill meals during the day, and then like a bigger meal in the evening, just not too late, ideally. And then drink magnesium before I go to sleep. Magnesium bisglycinate from Thorn, and then magnesium spray is good too, from Ancient Minerals or Symbiotica, because most people are deficient in magnesium. So magnesium, it's not bad. It's really hard to be oversaturated in magnesium. So magnesium spray that's sourced usually from the Dead Sea is like the best kind that you can get because it's really just absorbing into your skin. It's really good for everything. And that's usually some of the things that I do. I could talk for like an hour and like throw in a bunch of other stuff, but yeah.
Man, out of all those, what have you found to be like the most impactful positively for you?
I'd probably say, when you first put blue light glasses on, these are raw optics for people watching, and you can go check them out. You can actually use my name, and you'll get a discount if you want some. Just put in Maddox. But when you put these on for the first time, and you are like used to looking at your phone or TV, and you put them on, you'll get tired. Like you'll notice these are the night version, or they call them the sunset lenses, and you'll notice that you get tired. You get tired because your body's like, whoa, like I'm used to having this stimulus that's confusing my pineal. Pineal gland is our third eye, right? AKA third eye. And the pineal gland has the same cells and proteins in it that are found nowhere else in the body except for the retinas of the eyes. So that's why they call it like the third eye. And there are other signals and receptors, melanopsin receptors and things that we have, in and around our eyes and our pineal gland and stuff like that, hypothalamus, that govern our relationship with light. So if we're looking at artificial light, then that is going to confuse our system because it's unnatural. But when we put these on, it's actually syncing us up. After the sun goes down, we get outside, we watch the sunset. We're out. We don't have to watch it. But if we're just outside when the sun's going down, then we come inside, we throw these on. We're not getting that. Our bodies are synced up more to the natural rhythm because we know the sun went down. So our bodies will get tired naturally because it's like, oh, the sun's gone down and now I don't have this artificial light and now I can get to sleep. And then this positively affects the sleep. Then the sleep's better. So then that has positive effects on muscle recovery, on mood, on productivity, on everything. So it's like a snowball effect. But I feel like what I've been coming into lately and researching and diving into is how important the circadian biology is for every aspect of our life. So these probably, I would say, number one, because our circadian rhythm, if it's off, then hormone production is going to be off. So what are our hormones? For men, we got I can speak for men, testosterone, we got thyroid hormone, we got a bunch of different things, right? Our sleep's going to be off. Our muscle recovery is going to be off. Our mood, our ability to perceive, connection to our intuition, our throat chakra, right? That's our thyroid, that's our throat chakra. So speaking our truth, like everything can be affected by our relationship to life, to light. So we have to realize the sun is illuminating everything. It's if the sun wasn't here, then life wouldn't exist. So our ability to get outside in natural light when we get up, be in it during the day, and then be in the sun or have natural light at the end of the day before the sun goes down is essential. And then making sure that we're monitoring if we're around lights in our house, that have imperceptible flicker. There's a book that I read. I can refer it later, or you can DM me on Instagram. But it's revolves around those lights too, because we have like the phone devices, the blue light. Then we also have like lights in our home. So that's why I have the red light on in here, because those types of lights, like I could take these off, and the only thing that like would be kind of confusing my eyes would be the phone, because I don't have it. You know what I'm saying? But the red lights are fine. So like a lot of these type of LEDs, not all LEDs, and lights that are in our houses really confuse our system too. So yeah, that was a lot, but I would say the circadian biology, getting back to that, it's really simplifying it. It's worse to look at blue light. This is a quote, something that I heard from the founder of this glasses company, Raw Optics, Matt Maruka. It's worse to look at blue light before we go to bed than it is to eat like entire cheesecake right before we go to bed. Like it's like worse or on that same level. So that's just something for people to think about.
Man, that's truly interesting. I probably will go purchase some Raw Optics. That I have some blue light glasses, but they were like $10 on Amazon, and I'm just like, I almost notice no difference. I'm like, but
yeah.
But either way, yeah, like right now, I probably have like I can't perceive the flicker from that light, and I have two computer screens, and it's bright, and it's at night, and I'm like, I talk about how like I like to better my health, and now I'm like hearing this, and I'm like, I need to rethink my setup. I need to.
Yeah, I mean, if you just throw the sunset lenses on, bro, and like keep it chugging, you'll be good. You might find yourself like, wow, like I'm a little tired right now, or not. It just depends.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, keep going.
Nah, you keep going.
Yeah, like people, we didn't evolve to have all this artificial light in our bedrooms at night. Like this red light, it corresponds to like the sunset or a campfire. It's like that's what puts you in the mood to fall asleep, not some random light that flicks on or your phone lights up at like midnight. It's like it's so interesting, but electronic devices are such a part of our lives, and seeing something like those glasses really is awesome, because there's almost no getting around having electronic devices in your room. But so it's very cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and like we can go for electronic devices, and you get into EMF and how small doses of EMF I learned from a brother, Ben, who's like really into minerals and heavy metals. His name's Ben Samuel Weiner. You should probably get him on a podcast. He's really knowledgeable.
Ben Samuel Weiner.
Heavy metals. He's really knowledgeable about everything. Like he has an ebook that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And yeah, he's just a great guy that, you know, you could have another great quality episode where he drops a lot of information if he's on there. But yeah, getting into EM.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. They're coming off of our phones. You know, we got 5G, we got Wi-Fi. You know, how are we talking right now? You know, like there's signals, there's things that are bouncing off, and this is just the technology. This is the age that we live in. But our divine design is not really compatible with the EMF, the 5Gs, the 6Gs that they're getting to. You know, a lot of these things, the Wi-Fi. So we have to just be aware of that and mitigate our exposure to these things and understand that if we're on our phones all the time, we're always around computers, if we got Wi-Fi plugged in, if we got 5G towers near us, got to be aware of that. And we got to understand that it's been studied to have negative health effects, break up DNA, cell damage, oxidative stress, and just really be aware of the fact that these things were not really compatible with them. But if we're around them for, you know, like we have these phones, boom, we get on the podcast, we have a good relationship with them, boom, I'm using it, I'm working on my phone or computer during the day, I go outside, I put my feet on the earth to ground because EMF's going to create some, it's going to like have, how do you say it? It's going to have a positive ions are going to build up in our body, and that creates inflammation and stress. To keep it simple, the earth has a negative charge. So when we go put our bare feet on the earth, or we go in cold water or a river or in nature, really, right? Nature's like negative charge, especially outside after a storm, something like that. Then those negative ions are going to pull those positive ions that have built up from the EMF exposure, maybe different things that we've been around in our life experiences, food that we've consumed, whatever it may be, help pull those out of our body to just ground us down. And it's going to help, pull out that energy. So, having a healthy relationship with it can be good, because we get on the phone, a small amount, as Ben told me, I alluded to Ben earlier, can be beneficial, because it's getting back to the principle of hormesis. Our cells and our bodies are very resilient. And if we're exposed to something that's actually bad for us, like you say, you just got out of the cold plunge, right? That, like, if you're in there for too long, you might get hypothermia unless you're Wim Hof, right? But if you're in there for a good amount of time, you feel great. It's a positive effect, but it's still stressful on your cells. So it's interesting. I haven't looked too far into it, but Ben alluded to it. We did an Instagram live one time, and he was like, it can actually have a positive effect if you're not around it too much, and just really being aware of what's going on with the EMF. So yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot of studies, a lot of people that are talking about it. I got EMF clothing now and stuff. So
I've seen some like necklaces or some.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
and I did this actual research project for my university study, and I did it on hormesis. Hormesis is like the word for small doses of stress that are actually helpful for you.
Yeah, but that's what I was literally trying to say.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. It's all about balance in life, it seems like. And like these phones, it's like, a small amount is useful. A small amount of cold temperature is very useful. A small amount of sauna temperature, is useful. All of these it's so, like, it helps you build resilience when you get in these situations. If you were in the perfect scenario the whole time and you were never stressed, you wouldn't be much of a resilient person. I wouldn't trust myself in an emergency or, in anything. So it's been truly, these past 6 months, I've went down this train of intermittent fast. So in the morning, I don't eat till like 2 or 3 p.m. and I'm kind of hungry and I'm like, oh, I'm stressing myself purposefully. And then I hit the workout, like in a somewhat fasted state sometimes, or maybe just a small amount of food, go until I can't. And then I hit the sauna and then a cold shower and I cold plunge in the day too. And, I love hearing about different strategies, such as this red light, which I need to purchase that tomorrow, and some glasses. I need to, like, doing small things. Your life it's like that 1% rule. You improve something by 1% today, in a year, you're going to like triple. It's amazing. So
I love that. I love what you just said. And how you're kind of just been going down a path and like almost experimenting with yourself and seeing what unfolds when you do that. And that's what it's all about, figuring out what works for us, you know? And too much of anything is poison, going back to the hormesis. You're right. You know, so like cold plunge, balance with the cold plunge, balance with the phones, balance with the saunas. Like, I'm pretty sure people know. It's interesting because people know that they shouldn't go sit in a sauna for hours or sit in a cold plunge for hours. We also know that we probably shouldn't be on our phones for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But people are, because of what's being downloaded, the interfacing, the apps, social media, the scrolling. It's like there's a full-on attack getting people to just consume. But 100%, bro, balance is everything. I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, sometimes thinking about social media kind of makes me depressed because I'm like, or like even having this podcast, it's like I'm putting clips out on the internet and now people are just going to be scrolling. But like, hopefully the content we promote on the social media will actually help us tap into the better versions of ourselves. Like, I see you talking about this divine intervention where it's like,
Yep.
inside you can kind of ask yourself, what is the right thing to do right now? And I don't know, like Christians might say that's the Holy Spirit. I might say that's my conscience. You might say that's divine intervention. There's just so many ways to explain it, but tapping into that and truly listening, like, what is the right thing to do here? And you can easily hear, in my opinion, when you shouldn't be doing something or when you did something you shouldn't. It's like, that's when it's super loud. And either way, this idea of following the soul. What is your heart telling you to do? What is your gut, your intuition? I'm kind of a person who thinks a lot. Like, I'm more of a head person than a heart and gut person. Like, I analyze so much, but I've kind of learned these past few months to kind of like, okay, I have, for some reason we're built with the ability to self-reflect and have feelings and have intuitions, and tapping into it, taking a breath instead of thinking and thinking, getting off the phone, going outside. Who knew that depression could be solved just by getting the heck outside, Harley? Sometimes I spend so much time inside and I totally forget that, we were evolved to not live like this, so trying to tap back into that ancestral life. And so it all kind of ties together.
100% it ties together. 100% it does. I agree. We've been conditioned to operate in unnatural ways, live in artificial environments. It's just cool, but there's also a lot of opportunities for us to bring things together. We are posting this stuff on the internet. Terrence McKenna said the internet is the light at the end of the tunnel. Going to connect us, but it's kind of like war on there. Like, people like us that are starting to really create content, document, add value, share a perspective, doing it in an authentic, real way, we're playing a part in turning the tide. Each little video we put out, every little word we say, we have to trust that that's an energetic imprint on this movement, this revolution of health, of well-being, of us remembering what we've forgotten and coming back to, alignment with who we really are and our innate human capacity to be superhuman, to be healthy, to be vital, to thrive, to not just survive in the system, but to really thrive. And I know I said get back to what we've forgotten. It doesn't mean we're going back in time. Yeah, I feel like we do need to rejuvenate the soil. The reason why so much food that's in the grocery store, we have to supplement with magnesium and things like that, is because the soil's devoid. It's been shot. There's monocropping. They're using pesticides and cycling in the water. They're spraying things in the atmosphere, and that's damaging the soil. So then it's not in the food anymore. So we got to rejuvenate the soil. We got to do a lot of these other things. I kind of lost my train of thought, but we got to do things to, we got to rejuvenate the soil. We have to embrace the fact that we can grow our own food, hunt, live off the land, but then also embrace technology too, in ways that it can be compatible with our divine design and not damage us from an electromagnetic standpoint, and get to that too. And how can we bring that together? How can we build architecture and build communities where we're honoring and understanding the importance of circadian cycles and sunlight and being outside with nature, not closing ourselves in artificial boxes, but bringing everything together in synergy? That's possible. We can do that. And just legitimizing that again and starting to visualize it, see it, feel it, work towards it, trust, take the steps. You know, you said, yo, I know when my body and my mind and I feel that I'm not doing something. I'm like, this is not the vibe. And sometimes, yeah, we know it's not the vibe, and it's not about, oh man, but that means I have to know what the vibe is for sure. Nah. Sometimes it's just about knowing what it's not and turning in the other direction and trusting that we'll figure it out as long as we go in the direction where we know that it's not what we're not supposed to be doing, but we're just going the other way and we're trusting that. Then things will start to unfold for us. Then we can be receptive to the guidance, start to get things together, and then boom. It doesn't always have to be something we have to know 1000%, because that's what's keeping a lot of us caged in, slaves to ourselves, to the mind, to the societal programs, to fear, doubt, because we're like, I have to know 1000% what's coming around the corner. And then it's keeping us in the known instead of stepping into the unknown. Shout out Joe Dispenza, to where there's real potential for evolution, you know? And the unknowns, that blank canvas where we can paint our masterpiece. But they want us in the known, in the societal matrix where they have all the programs installed, and we're just operating and picking our options based on what they've put up for us, instead of what we can create for ourselves when we really just turn away from that system. That doesn't mean we don't use the phones, doesn't mean we don't get educated or learn, but we just see it for what it is and understand that we want to build something new. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, that kind of ties in. I saw one of your clips that said it seems as if in the near future there's going to be two kind of groups of people. Some people that, get sucked farther into social media, metaverse, whatever this all might be, and fast food, just convenience. And
Yeah.
and then there's other people that might recognize, homesteading might actually be incredibly healthy and one of the most meaningful things you could do. And it's like, I never would have thought this way until like 6 months ago when I started. Honestly, I don't know if you follow Carnivore Aurelius, but he really has kind of shifted the way I think about like,
Yeah.
our modern culture. That, like, I love how you are nuanced and say there's a lot of pros to technology, like being able to meet today, search anything you want, learn anything, put your voice out there, impact the world exponentially compared to before. But
Yep.
we need to also recognize that we need to jump back and recognize what was incredibly positive before, and having the best of both worlds is honestly my goal, because that's pretty much the best you can do. So
100%, bro. I agree. I do follow Carnivore Aurelius. Like, I agree with you. A lot of this stuff is new to me as well, within the last year, within the last 2 years. And it's just it's beautiful because the internet is allowing us to access this new information. Social media is allowing us to access things that Carnivore Aurelius is putting out or other people are putting out. And it's allowing us to really learn new things. It's not always like, oh, we have to go to this high ranking university or we have to do this and that. That's cool. We can learn things there. But I do feel like there's indoctrination there sometimes. There's government funding there where there's curriculum that's on purpose, and we have to use discernment with that. So it's like using discernment with everything, doing our own research first, seeing what resonates with us, and then acting accordingly, kind of going through the scientific process ourselves of just investigation, but also understanding that if we're following people that are putting out value on social media and doing that, we can learn more on there than, in a couple years at a university, because it's the difference between what's really like helping us evolve versus stuff that's kind of just keeping us in the societal matrix cycles that they want us to stay in. So it's all about that. I feel.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I was just talking with my roommate about how, like, with this technology, keep going.
But where do you go to school?
It's called Western Michigan University.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I study something called industrial engineering.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of like how to better a business or processes within business. And I run a cleaning business with my mother, so I'm kind of the industrial engineer, accountant, and I've started this, and I'm very business and minded, but also health and philosophy and everything else minded. So
I love it. You're bringing that in. What's your sign? Like, when were you born? What's your
I was born February 13. I think I'm Aquarius.
Aquarius. Nice. Nice. Awesome. I'm not like big into astrology, but I was just wondering. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
When
astrology,
were
but
you born?
October 12th. I just turned 25 a week ago. A week ago
Oh,
from today.
well done. Happy birthday. Halfway to 50.
Yeah. But what were you saying about your roommate and stuff?
Oh, I was saying, well, like you were saying, sometimes people are scrolling on social media and it might be meaningless or it might not be as positively impacting as it could be. And my roommate actually is starting a podcast. I've convinced him over the past year. I've set up this system. There's been a lot of, positive effects from it and for myself and for others. And he's even smarter than me, maybe, and he's going to start a pod. And I was saying, finally getting to the point, we have the ability to impact people. We have the ability to start butterfly effects. It's like, who knows what this little clip, what this video, what might do to someone's trajectory, might do to their thought. Who they would have never thought about it if you wouldn't have put in that effort, followed your gut, and said, "I'm going to start a podcast." All of this is so interesting, and it's amazing to see other people who have taken that jump and have been like, "I want to create something." But also something that's going to impact people in a positive way. That's kind of my slogan. I want to impact people positively. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm talking about when I say divine inspiration. That's kind of what I've been talking about lately, because you're inspired to start the podcast. Then one little video or clip that you put out inspires somebody else, and then they get inspired, and then they inspire somebody else. And it's like, but if you didn't start that, then you and then the other person that you inspired, and the 10 other people that got butterfly affected from there would never have felt that possibly. And it's like realizing that is so amazing and empowering. So I'm right there with you. That's the big thing behind everything. It's about the one person, even if 10, you get this podcast, 10,000, 100,000, a million people watching it. Even if it's just one person, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Then of course, you get 100, like you get a lot of people watching it, then it's even more amplified. And that's why we do things, stay consistent. Like, I hope that, you keep going with this because you're good at it. You're really good at it. You speak well, like you're good at asking questions. So, even already I can tell. So yeah, man, amazing.
That means a lot. Thank you, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, like just getting personal. My first episode was actually on porn addiction because
Yep.
it's been a thing since I was like 10 and it screws me up. And I released it and people are like, "What are you doing? You're talking about porn, whatever." I've kind of evolved, but literally my last episode was
I love
talking
it.
about porn addiction with this guy who's a little older and has struggled. And like, I post all my stuff on Snapchat and all of my old high school friends see it. And every other day I get things like, "Man, I really needed to hear that today. Wow, that was the best thing I could have heard. Oh, this really inspired me to do this, blah, blah, blah." All these different comments. And I was like, you're right. Even if it just helps me and one other person, what I'm doing is making the universe a better place. It is making the world better than it was yesterday. And
Yep.
it's so meaningful, and I
Yeah.
couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. You really alchemize that. I mean, for you to like take something that you were addicted to, that was a lower vibration thing, and alchemize it, do a podcast on it, talk about it, and then put it out into the world. That's doing alchemy. That's flipping the script on it. Because I talk about spirits of darkness or like energetic forces that I feel are here. Right, we're kind of in a spiritual war that kind of want to keep us down and disempowered and in doubt and fear. They want us to stay there, but then you saying no, I'm going to talk about this. I'm rising above it, and I'm going to put it out on the internet so other people can know they're not alone. And this is my perspective. Boom. That's a win. That's a dub. Like, seriously. So I love it. I love it. Social media has been that for me too. A lot of times, I feel like sometimes our best defense is offense. So like, if we're feeling like we're up against a wall, like there's a lot of doubt coming in, or there's some fear, like we get inspired and we stay consistent for a month or two, but then like, like some doubt comes in and we're like, man, should I keep going? Like, just keep going, keep putting it out, keep sharing, talk about, yo, I'm feeling some doubt right now. Like, I've been consistent. Like, I feel like this is another opportunity for initiation to show myself that I just want to keep going, whatever it may be. Like, feed that. All is for us. Everything's here to make us stronger and like more powerful. So I love it, man. I love it. I'm really resonating.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Like, you're dealing with something in your mind, and one of the worst things you can do is keep it inside. Like, this podcast has been a therapy session for me and hopefully for others, but it kind of just helps me understand that, without talking or thinking or writing it out, writing or talking specifically, you literally go insane and you'll actually turn into a person that you don't like. Life will be so much more stressful. There'll be monsters. I love Peterson, and he'll talk about, like, you might have a little monster in the closet, and you know if you don't face it now, it's going to grow into a giant dragon, and that thing's going to be 50 times more scary in your mind. But if you would have just went straight to it, you would have seen that it was just a little teddy bear. And I guess the point here is,
Yep.
my main point I was getting to is, me speaking it out has been so influential to me. And one thing I'm curious about asking you is, do you go to, like, who do you talk with out? Like, do you have people that you can talk your thoughts out? Like, I've recently started going to counseling, I guess a year ago, and it's been some of the most impacting things for, like, doing that is like the best decision of my life besides this podcast. Like, seeing someone I can go to every week to unpack all of this crap that's in my brain, or a lot of it, it's been so useful. So I was just curious, because you're so interested in health, like, do you have people in your life who you can talk it out with? And I know you have a pod and you do that there too, but I'm just curious.
Yeah. I mean, the pod, it's something that I recently started. I've been making videos for a while since I started college. Like, that was kind of, honestly, I started the videos kind of like you said, the analogy that Jordan Peterson used, to go after that monster in the closet. Like, to kind of go after my fears of expressing myself in certain ways, putting myself out there. So that's kind of why I started it. And then it just started to grow from there. And, I've been on and off social media. I played basketball, stuff like that. But, I'm really, really coming into it now, I feel. And yeah. What was your initial question? Sorry.
I guess, do you have people in your life you can
Oh, yes.
unpack things with?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, my family, my girl, we're super close. We're best friends. I got close brothers that I can talk to. Um, I've gotten close with the Jarrett's. I'm really cool with Jarrett. Um, even though we haven't even met in person yet. And Ben, who's a dear brother of mine. I have two brothers that are here in Orlando that I saw last week that I can talk to about stuff. So I'm fortunate, like people that I've met on Instagram, that I've met a couple times or once or not at all, that I've connected to over FaceTime multiple times, text, stuff like that. My brother Joaquin, Mary, we did retreat out in Montana, in Idaho, and like they were out there. Mary cooked for it, Joaquin filmed for it, best friends. Like, it's just I've experienced a lot of things, like in regards to having like healthy boundaries, so like being able to keep things to myself and like stuff like that, but also understanding the importance of like speaking to people and like making sure that who I'm speaking to like is somebody like discerning that they are able to receive it. So I'm grateful that like I have those people in my life.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
I don't know how people go through life without those connections, and it's amazing to hear that you're close with your family. And some people might not have the closest families, but they have the potential if they just reach out, if they
Yeah.
just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah. And I don't
without
know if
us,
you knew.
yeah, go.
No, but yeah, like I don't know if you knew, but I have a twin. I have a
Oh,
twin,
interesting.
and he's not really on Instagram right now. Like, we've been like this for the longest, and we're kind of like not on the same page right now with like business and stuff, but like that's okay. Like, we're both at different stages in our life, and like I left Colorado and like went straight out to Idaho to like be with him, for us to start things, do the retreat together and stuff. But we're not on the same page right now. I'm like, that's all right. That's okay. And like, I think it's healthy. It's a healthy stage for us to be in a place where I'm focused on what I need to focus on, individuating, building, and he's doing the same thing. So yeah, I think that it's been big shifts in regards to that, because he was always somebody that I would tell everything to. But like now, like I put stuff out there. I don't go into like all details, but yeah, like now, like I don't, like more it's like other people or like my girlfriend and stuff like that. So So yeah, but you're right. Like, we don't get through life if we don't have people that we can pour it out to. And sometimes it is a counselor, or it is a therapist, right? Or it is just somebody like that's in our family. But it's as long as we can get it out, because we go through stuff. Society honestly is built on trauma. Like, society traumatizes people on like low levels sometimes high levels. Like, it just depends, and like, trauma is a strong word, but like, it stresses people out. It has people thinking in their head, like anxious, depressed. Like, those are words that you could use. And to be able to get out what's in there so it doesn't build up and become that monster, like you said, it's everything, bro. I agree. I'm somebody that kept stuff in. So be able to be vulnerable now with myself first, because I have to be vulnerable with myself, and then others. It's been so liberating, bro. So I love that you brought that up. But yeah, keep going on what you were saying. Sorry.
No, it's totally good. Yeah, like some people don't like being vulnerable, but it's honestly the only way out of being anxious and depressed. Not the only, but it seems to me like without talking to people, my life would suck. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, there's strength in it. We find strength when we're in our vulnerability, and we're humbling ourselves. We're not hiding from what's inside, and we're humbling ourselves by just putting it out there and understanding that I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm just being me, and I'm putting it all out there, and I'm trusting it's what's going to happen when I do. So beautiful.
Yeah. And it ties in kind of with this energy principle where it's like when you are being as genuine as you can, saying what's on your mind, not hiding behind a mask or giving a different tone of voice or anything, you can feel the energy between people. It's like, even though we're through a screen, I can feel we're on this energy of
Yeah.
I'm going to be as open as possible, humble as possible, honest as possible, and see what happens. And, and I
Yes.
love when I meet people like that because you can just feel it and
Yeah.
you can't even explain why, but there's got to be some reason why. But yeah.
Yeah. There's a resonance there. There's a real resonance. It's that simple. It's that simple. And it's like a clear channel, like a clear connection. That's how it's supposed to be. Like, that's how it's supposed to be naturally. So it feels good when there's a natural connection. Like, that's how it's supposed to be with everybody. Like, if we're all vulnerable, if we were all just like, I'll just let the false aspects die away. I'll accept the fact that I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I mess up. I get depressed. I get anxious. I have these feelings. And I just know that it's part of my human experience. And I'm just going to communicate what I can communicate. I'm going to feel what I got to feel. I'm going to express what I got to express. And I know that other people are going to do the same thing, and we can embrace that about each other. It solves so many problems, because it's like, oh, he's being real. I can be real. Like, it's that simple. But we're all hiding behind these masks in life, and it's creating disresonance and incoherence in the field. And then that gets amplified out, and then we got wars, and we got governments being oppressive, and we got all this type of stuff going on. So pretty gnarly.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not sure if you've ever experienced psychedelics, but I've taken some. And when I've experienced them, I feel like there's this every time I see someone, I'm like, okay, they are so valuable. They have so much to offer. We can connect so deeply if we both had open hearts. That's kind of what we're built for. And it kind of gives me this like benefit of doubt. Give this person the benefit of the doubt. Love them, trust them, not too naively, but it's been so interesting because after taking psychedelics, my love for someone or my willingness to be open about my experience has just totally increased. And I'm not sure if you've had similar experiences, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting for me.
Yeah. Let me plug my phone in real quick. What type of psychedelics have you done?
I've taken acid a few times and psilocybin more than a few times, and I like psilocybin more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely more of a earthy, natural vibe, I feel.
yeah. What about you?
They're both. Yeah, I've experienced both. I just adjusting this here.
No problem, man.
I agree. I think that with psychedelics, discernment is key. Just alluding to real quick what you said about being with somebody, like seeing them and like accepting them fully and like really understanding them. Like, I had, especially like my first experience, I, came into a place where I was very understanding and accepting of certain things around my father. And I was very understanding and accepting of that. And like I really felt into like pain and like different emotions and things like that. And it just put me in a completely different place. But it didn't mean that I went and like completely changed my ways of approaching the person once I left that experience because of certain boundaries that I had. But it was like you can still forgive people, you can still love people, you can still, make different choices with people in your life without needing to go and like be right with them or etc. You know, so that's something that I feel. But yeah, like with psychedelics, it's definitely going to sync us up. Sync as in SYNC, um, with this force of love, with creative intelligence. Um, you know, acid definitely hits the serotonin receptors, and it's big love vibes, big expansive vibes. But for me, psilocybin is just really tapping into and interacting with intelligence that's here. I'm a big Terrence McKenna guy. I love mushrooms. That's something that I embrace. And I think that they're going to play a huge role in us coming back as humanity into a symbiotic relationship with the environment and living in harmony with the world around us. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't eat animal products, or we don't build things. It just means that we do so and we live with reverence. So if we're hunting, we do it with reverence and respect, and we do it honoring the cycles of nature. We do it in gnosis of what's going on in certain ecosystems because we're tapped in. We're not just going in and abusing ecosystems and doing X, Y, and Z to just get a kill and then leave. Like we're doing everything with reverence and respect, and then nature, the land, the ecosystem responds in kind, right? Provides in kind. Um, able to grow our own food. Like the Earth's just mad right now. People are like, "Why is there global warming? Why is there all these natural disasters going on? Why is there hurricanes? Why is this and that?" Well, it's because there's BS being dumped into the oceans. There's plastic everywhere. The soil's shot. They're spraying stuff in the atmosphere, trying to dim the sun. Like the Earth is just mad. Like there's an intelligence, like the consciousness, right? You can call it whatever you want. Is just understanding. It's like, no, this is not how it's supposed to work, and like it's going to let us know that it's not how it's supposed to work in different ways. And psychedelics just have opened up so much for me. I agree. And yeah, I think that it's important. I've had experiences where, my relationship with them wasn't very healthy. And I got maybe like a couple times getting into it where like I was like telling myself like, yeah, like I'm ready for this time, but I hadn't fully integrated a previous experience, or I was doing it subtly to like escape or like look for some sort of answer instead of letting it come to me. The times where I've had the most powerful experiences are like I'm calling in, the mushroom, psilocybin, Terrence, where we at? What do we need to see? What do we need to do to move forward in the most integral, best way? Like, is there anything that we need to learn? And then boom, a month or two later, opportunity, experience comes my way. I ain't even plan it. But that's for me, like one of my best, most profound, powerful experiences. Instead of me like seeking it out, like, yeah, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, then I gotta acquire this, and I gotta like plan it all out and like hyper plan. It hasn't been the best for me sometimes. So I think intention and planning is key sometimes, but sometimes, at least in my experience, just letting it come to me and flowing into it has been powerful. So yeah, I think that Colorado is voting this week or something like that to legalize psilocybin, or possibly. And that just goes hand in hand. It comes back to the concept of free will and self-responsibility. Like, what do you think about that? Because there's states like Oregon that have legalized heroin and cocaine and weed and stuff like that, and then you have states that have completely criminalized it. And then you have Colorado who might legalize psilocybin, and then that of course they've legalized cannabis and stuff. So What do you think about them legalizing it? How does that play into like free will and personal responsibility? You know?
Yeah, it's so interesting, and each one of those drugs is kind of a different discussion. But yeah, regarding heroin and cocaine, I I, I question, like, is there any positive effects, or are you actually becoming a better person in taking those? Those are more easy for me to say. Those are okay if they're illegal,
It's
but
off.
yeah, but something like psychedelics, this is something that it seems as if humans have been using them way before they became illegal, and I'm like, I would like, I don't know. I feel like most people, if they took a psychedelic, they might truly have an introspective experience that might change their life for the better forever. That might be one of the most impactful experiences of their life. And,
100%.
and I'm like, why in the world are we making it illegal? And then I could be a little nuanced and say, yeah, well, back in the 70s and the 60s, people were taking them too much. Kids were getting into them. They were all over. And, it's not healthy to take them in certain environments or at such frequencies. And so it's like we'd want to be able to have a lot of education around psychedelics. And that's kind of where my calling is. I want to talk about psychedelics on my podcast. I want to explain my experience and talk about the science that backs it up, because there's so much scientific evidence regarding psilocybin specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really think there's got to be a bit greater understanding of what these things can truly bring us, because it's still
Yeah.
such a mystery. Why in the world, when I eat a plant, does it make me feel like I'm talking to God and I've learned so much and I can move forward? And
Yeah.
I don't know, but like something
100.
about like weed, I'm a pretty big fan of weed. It makes me think in different ways than normal, but I still feel like Harley, but it's just coming from a slightly different perspective. It
Yeah.
reminds me of like a quarter of a psychedelic. And so, like, in my
Yeah.
opinion, weed and psychedelics should be something that, some people might not react positively to weed or
Yeah.
psychedelics, but they should be able to make that choice and not be put in a cage because they're wanting to experience different parts about themselves. So
I agree. I think it should always come back to choice and giving people the opportunity to choose, not making government oversight the defining factor if somebody's able to have a powerful experience or not. Everybody should be able to have that, but then if people get into abusing it, then that's on them. Like, that's their free will choice. But I also know that Terrence McKenna said, we can get a little bit into the science and like philosophy of psilocybin and psychedelics a little bit, but Terrence McKenna said, like, the mushroom doesn't show itself to everybody. It won't show itself to you if you're not really ready, or if there is not a proper perspective with it. Like, you'll have a bad trip, or you just won't really see certain things. Like, this is an intelligence. It knows what's going on, who's taking a mushroom, who's interfacing with it. So it's not always going to reveal certain truths and things if it knows, because this intelligence is very intelligent, that one is not ready.
or if you've discerned that you don't know, so you're putting up blockers. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, exactly. Mycelial network's been here for millions, billions of years. It might be older than Earth. Like, we don't know. This intelligence is ancient. So it literally knows everything. The mycelial network, what psilocybin, like, what that's tapped into. So if we're coming at it not really able to, like, and open to surrendering to what's there, having our own types of mechanistic programs in place and what we expect, X, Y, and Z, doing it in the wrong set and setting, not really honoring it with reverence, the ancient traditions, then, we're going to get let known that in some type of way, either in a dull way or like either in a big way. So, yeah. And I know with LSD and, with psilocybin, there's aspects of the brain that get turned on and off. Default mode network, which is the network in the brain that basically associates us with ourself. Like, so like, oh, I'm Maddox and, you're Harley, right? That network in the brain starts to kind of turn off. And that is what gives people, that's why they're doing it, and they're studying it in hospitals and people with PTSD and stuff like that, because when that turns off and that sense of self goes away, then there's more ability to open up to just this source of love and the creative intelligence that's always around us and within us. It's just we've been so conditioned because we're living so up here, right? And we're slaves to this, that when this starts to turn off, we can really open up to like, whoa, like, I'm loved. I am love. got this flowing through me. It's all around me. Like, wow, I don't have to feel like this anymore. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that person. I'm more than just that person that was scared. And it's revolutionary. So I'm in full support. I hope that Colorado legalizes it. I hope that every state ends up legalizing it, and that it just comes back to teaching people in education, like you said, and then understanding the importance of individual discipline, individual free will, and just making the integral choices. It's going to start getting to just teaching integrity. Instead of teaching do this or do that, it's just about teaching individuals how to have integrity with their choices. And we can see that coming these days with fitness, with mindset. Like, we're getting back to that. We're trending towards that. So we got the psychedelics coming back. We got the other plants. We got cannabis coming back. But then we also have this health, this freedom, this discipline of the mind coming back too. And it's almost this renaissance of remembrance, you could say, of what it takes for us to get to the next level of human evolution. And it's beautiful.
Man, that was really well said. And yeah, I'm a person who I grew up in a Christian household. I went to Christian school from like K through 12. And I actually really like the Bible and Jesus. But I feel like a lot of Christians are missing out on some components of life, such as the psychedelic component. I'm like, I feel as if, I'm reading a book right now called The Immortality Key, and it talks about
who's that by?
It's by Brian Marescu, and he talks about ancient Greece and ancient Rome and how those cultures influenced Christianity. Jesus was born into a time frame where Greek and Roman culture were huge influences. And, Dionysus was kind of the god of wine, but not just the god of wine, the god of psychedelic wine. They have a lot of studies showing of the tombs that there's been ergot, an LSD compound, found within these small little cups. And like the theory of this book is that Jesus preached to people and helped people, but he also took psychedelics to help and gave other people psychedelics. And that's what the Last Supper might be. It's a gathering of people being as open and humble as possible while, recognizing that there's something else to offer. And I don't know, for some reason, ever since I took psychedelics, my respect for, what God might be, my respect for myself, my respect for others has truly increased. And I'm so less closed off. I'm less judgmental. If someone doesn't believe the exact same thing as me, I'm like, I really think, finally getting to my point, religion in some sense is like a principles on how to act. How do you act in this world, Harley? What are the correct ways to go about it? And I think, like you were saying, the mindset, the discipline, along with health, along with all these other things, all of these things in tandem, working together, kind of form what you believe in, what your judge is, what you're aiming for. And that's kind of what your God might be. And so it's actually been kind of crazy, because when I first started talking about psychedelics on here, a lot of my people that I know, I still live in the same city I grew up in. They're like, this guy's a druggie. This guy's a hippie. What's this guy doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to explain. I really do think they're useful for most people. And like you said, you can't be in the wrong mindset. You have to, it's like this, it's deep humility. I am so limited. I do not know what is going to come of this. There's forces outside of me that I don't understand. There's forces that I can't explain, but I am going to try to understand in a humble way. And, when you do it, you're kind of taken out of yourself, and you're like, oh, Harley does this action. Maybe he should stop. Oh, Harley does this action. Oh, that's a really good action. You can really just analyze yourself from the third person. And I feel like you're saying, I feel like there might be a revolution. People might truly want to be better people because they're going to see the value, the divine value within them and everyone else. So,
yeah, 100%. And I think there's something like, I 1000% agree. Like, I'm glad that you're doing your thing, even in the town that you grew up in, and people are seeing you move differently, and they're like, but you're still embracing the fact of all of this. And yeah, that's so interesting. Like the possibility that Christ and, in Egypt and Greece and these ancient civilizations, they were tapping in. I believe it, just because I'm like, it's more likely than not. So I'm inclined to believe it, because back then they knew about plants, they knew about herbs, they were very aware of what was going on in nature, they were very aware of what was going on with the cycles of the sun and how things worked with crops. So it's like, how would they not know about what's going on with, these substances, these plants in some manner? But yeah, I fully support, the entire vibe. I was gonna say something else, but I kind of lost it. But yeah.
That's all good. Yeah, I kind of went on a tangent, but I guess what would be your advice to someone who has never taken psychedelics and is what should they do to get into the proper mindset? Like, yeah, that's my question for you.
I would say, watch Fantastic Fun Guy. The documentary is simple documentary. Go listen to some Terrence McKenna videos. I would say make sure you're doing it with people that you trust, or just do it by yourself. I would say make sure you contact somebody like us, or people that you feel like you can trust as far as the source goes, and just go into it with that open-hearted perspective. If you're doing it with other people that you don't really know, use discernment, because energy's real, and you just don't really want to open yourself up to a lot of different things. Not saying that, that's kind of makes me remember what I was going to say. I feel like psilocybin is very intelligent, and it illuminates a lot of things for us. But we get into, as we're talking about evolving into our superhuman capacity of, starting to tap a little bit more into our super sensible perception, to where we're not so locked in the five senses and like the mechanistic matrix mind, but, we're more tapped into our intuition, right? And we can kind of perceive more subtle energies and stuff like that, like we used to be able to. But, we've descended into materialism, and that's why we have like the scientific revolution and artificial intelligence and stuff like that. As we kind of like return to like this other aspect of perception, there are going to be people that are going to start unlocking things and tapping into things that are going to want to use it like for black magic, right? So like to manipulate reality, to manipulate things for their own gain and stuff like that. That's just the nature of reality, right? The nature of reality is duality. So we're always going to have like polarities. But then there's going to be people that will start to tap into this stuff and will be using it as white magic, you could say. That's the opposite of black magic, and saying, how can I use this, in accordance with divine will? How can I do this in the most integral way and stuff like that? And with psilocybin, I don't think, this is just my theory, of course, more to learn, more to experience, that intelligence will let people use psilocybin for black magic, is what I'm trying to say. To manipulate the world, to manipulate society, because I feel like it's too smart, it's too intelligent, it's seen too much, it's seen too many civilizations rise and fall, it's learned so much about humanity, it has so much to offer us, that it really won't let humanity use it. It's really about like us using it if we earn it. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to earn the ability to interface and co-create with the intelligence that is mycelium, psilocybin, whatever you want to call it. And we have to like earn that through our integrity, I feel. So yeah, that was kind of like off to the side, but yeah, just being conscious of who you're around if you're taking psilocybin, and yeah, going from there, and have fun with it. Like go into it, surrender to it, have fun with it, have a liquid drum playlist, whatever music you like, some good music, something that you can flow with, that can take you through the journey, and just go into it. If you want to take notes, if you want to set an intention before, be like, I have this question, I have this question. Just go into it, make it an event. Like it's a serious thing, but it's supposed to be a fun thing. Like we're living life, you're exploring life, you're exploring consciousness. Like we're humans, like it's what we're supposed to do. So it's like, send it, do it.
Man, that's amazing. I love that. I honestly think that's a pretty good place to stop. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that sounds good, bro. It sounds good.
Yeah, That truly encapsulated it. Your final sentence was just send it, whatever it might be, whether it's a psychedelic trip, whether it's maybe you want to start a blog, maybe you want to start a podcast, whatever it is, tap into what your intuitions are telling you. Make sure you're using discernment while doing so, but who knows what could come of you taking these leaps. And
Yeah.
I always try to get the lesson out of each episode. And I'm really a person who loves encouraging people. I don't know if that's just my thing. So I hope whoever listened to this was truly encouraged to better their health, better their mindset, look into the different things that humans have used over the years to better themselves. Your life will truly shift.
So. I love it, bro. And not being afraid to fail, not being afraid, go out there, let's get into the game. Let's go have a psychedelic experience. Let's go do this. We're going to learn. We're going to have great experiences. And then we don't want to fail on purpose. Jeff Bezos started Amazon, best company in the world. I don't know if that was his first company. Maybe he had a couple more before that, but a lot of people it takes them 5-10 companies to get to that. Jeff Bezos. So some of us might just, we're here. We're flowing. Most of us are just going to fail. We're going to mess up, and embracing it and being laughing at it. We're in a divine dance. It's all part of it. So yeah, bro.
That's really good. Of course. I guess a final quote I'd say from one of the guys I interviewed recently, he said, don't let the fear of regret outweigh the fear. No, don't let your fear of failure outweigh your fear of regret. Either way, you don't want to live your life with regrets. Oh, I didn't try this. Oh, I didn't try this. I would much rather live my life filled with failure and lessons and learning and experience and
wisdom.
Yeah, man.
100%, bro.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Maddox. It's truly a pleasure. I honestly, I'd love to meet up in person sometime. I think we'd have a great discussion, and I think we could have a good thing going.
100%, brother. I love what you're doing. Let's stay connected.
Will do.
Pushing. Let's do it, man. All the best.
Well, thanks, Maddox.
All right, man. Peace.